Welcome back everyone to Counter-Hegemony. How you doing? I woke up this morning to learn that political outsider and self-proclaimed anarcho-capitalist Javier Milei had convincingly won the Argentine presidential election against current Economy Minister Sergio Massa of the ruling Peronist coalition. In this video, I will break down the reasons for Milei's victory. There are several factors that we need to keep in mind. First, the economic crisis. Argentina's economy is likely already in recession and is expected to contract further in 2024. Inflation will probably hit 185% by the end of this year. The poverty rate has risen to over 40%. This is 4 times higher than 3 years ago. Skyrocketing inflation has hit the poorest sectors of the Argentinian working class the hardest. Milei proposed radical neoliberal measures as a panacea. Deregulation, privatization, liberalization, free trade, and minimal government intervention. On the general level, his libertarian ideology connected with the dominant neoliberal, individualistic, and competitive zeitgeist. It also resonated with the entrepreneurial and anti-statist sentiments widespread among the middle class and large sectors of the Argentinian working class. Milei's discourse scored particularly well with young voters, small business owners, impoverished workers, and the self-employed. The second factor that explains Milei's victory is Argentina's political crisis, or more specifically, the crisis of political representation that has affected the 2 political parties that have governed the country for the last 20 years. Peronism on the center-left and the neoliberal camp led by former President Mauriciomacri on the center-right. Milei succeeded in blaming Argentina's economic crisis on the politicians in power, primarily the Peronist government. And this neoliberal critique took root in the minds and hearts of many Argentinians. Much like Trump or Bolsonaro, Milei presented himself as an anti-systemic rebel, an anti-establishment outsider, and a reactionary revolutionary. In Milei's world, however, the established system is not capitalism, but a corrupt, incompetent, and kleptocratic political elite that impoverishes the average hard-working Argentinian. Milei used the term caste, which he borrowed from the Spanish leftist party Podemos, to refer to Argentina's established parties. In public appearances, he recycled the slogan "Que se vayan todos," or "out with them all," that had played a prominent role in the anti-neoliberal protests of 2001. This helped him to address the widespread dissatisfaction among the population and instill a new sense of hope for a better life. Milei's lack of political experience turned out to be an asset. He combined his rejection of the political elite with his nonconformity, political incorrectness, eccentric style, and a rock and roll aesthetic. Posing with a chainsaw helped him to relate to the pent-up anger and frustration of the majority. Sergio Massa, on the other hand, represented everything that many Argentinians detested. For Milei's campaign, he was the perfect embodiment of the economic crisis and the country's decadent caste. The campaign of fear and demonization waged against Milei by sections of the left did not deter voters. On the contrary, it reinforced the determination of many working-class Argentinians to vote for the new. We must, however, also mention that Milei's anti-establishment stance was more apparent than real. We should not forget that the support of former President Macri and Patricia Bullrich, who finished 3rd in the first round, also played a decisive role in Milei's victory. And this brings us to the third factor, the crisis of the Argentinian left. Milei's triumph would not have been possible without the chronic weakness of Argentina's social and political forces to the left of Peronism. For them, Milei's victory resembles a crushing defeat. The Argentine left failed to produce a counter-narrative that debunked Milei's libertarian discourse by addressing the root causes of the country's failing capitalist model. The historic weakness of the left made it relatively easy for Milei to tap into the growing discontent and nonconformity of many Argentinians in times of crisis. And, on a final note, there is also a regional dimension. As in other Latin American countries, Milei and his supporters were eager to discredit Massa and the left in general by discursively linking them to the crisis in Venezuela. Milei's victory shows that the situation in Venezuela is still anything but beneficial for the image of the left in other countries. So much for today. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment below. Thanks for tuning in and for supporting the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.